Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Pizza Leadership Virtual Summit. We are going to talk a little bit about loyalty programs today with Reed and Deena, who are going to introduce themselves in a second. I'm Chris Leiber. I'm the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer at Revel Systems. We're one of the leading cloud providers for chain restaurants, and specifically, we've done a lot of work to make ourselves extra relevant in the pizza area. So we love this topic and we love this space. We've got a lot of customers in this part of the industry. So let's start with you, Deena. Introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about the profile of your brand.
I am Deena McKinley, and I'm the Chief Experience Officer for Gino's Pizzeria. And we have been in the New England area since 1961. So a very iconic brand in the New England area, very long time fan base here. And one of the things that, I always love to hear, not being a native New Englander, is that every time I tell somebody where I work, the first thing I hear is, "Oh, I had a birthday party at Gino's. My 8-year-old birthday party was at Gino's, and we used to make pizza at Gino's when I was 9 and had a birthday party there, or we went there after every football game or some other sporting event." And so the nostalgia is a really big piece, and I think that's something where loyalty plays in a lot. And all these years later, after 60 plus years. With the evolution and technology that we'll talk about today, I think it's a really cool thing to watch how you can take that and evolve it into something new.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we'll come back to that story because it's certainly interesting to think about how digital, which is so much of what we talk about today, has to do with an 8-year-old birthday party. So we'll circle back. Reed, tell us about yourself and your great chain.
Hey, thanks for having us, both of us on here. Excuse me, Reed Daniels, CEO of Red Savoy Pizza. We started in 1965. If you're watching on video, that was in my background, it's our original location, which was a towny bar on the east side of St. Paul. And Red started it when he was a bartender and a bouncer, and he took over the bar. And then there was a pizza place next door, knocked a hole in the wall, and started making great pizza in 1965. So we now have 19 units. Our 19th is opening in 2 days here now. But we, mostly take out and delivery. We have a couple stores with some dining rooms. But when it comes to digital, like the footprint of digital is we talk about like the digital ordering pass, but then when it comes to loyalty and how people engage with your brand. Whether from the experience on the marketing side, through our app, through our messaging and stuff like that, is what we're kind of focusing on. Is trying to be a technology leader in a legacy brand, I would call it. Very similar to Gino's being 58 years old right now. Is how do we evolve, because the guest expectation is that you're not a 58-year-old brand, you're relevant to me today. And so that's where, we focus on loyalty. We use that. And then, integrations is a big word that we'll probably talk about a couple times today. And making sure that it integrates to our point of sale, it integrates to our app, it integrates to online ordering, it integrates to however. So it's a seamless experience for our guests and a seamless experience for our team as our goal. So yeah, that's what I focus on. And, pizza is predominantly what we do. We have a lot of great like salads and pastas and stuff like that too, but everybody comes for the pizza.
Excellent. Well, I think you two are both very representative about what everybody loves about this, restaurant industry. You have character within your brands, and, you're not just, I hate to say it, but I will anyway. You're not some ghost kitchen somewhere that's going to deliver you something that, even if the food's good, it's like, what's that all about? And I do think that's so much of what the fabric of this industry is. And it's going to be great to contrast how you are trying to maintain some of that while moving to this very digital world. I know I'm a huge believer that as much right now as we brought a lot of technology in very quickly because of the pandemic, I think this is just the beginning. I think 5-10 years from now, we're going to have even more technology than we can imagine. The industry needs it actually to get more efficient, to drive the kind of both cost savings and ways to serve customers with that hospitality, but to do it at an affordable, kind of go forward so that we can have a profitable industry, but still maintain that character in the hospitality that really represents why people go out and engage in going out, and why you pick one brand over another, by the way. At the end of the day, most people don't say, oh, that digital experience was perfect. They say that experience at that restaurant, was a perfect thing and an amazing thing. And that's what they're after. So I know we at Revel, by the way, we're a very open system. We have lots of integrations. Both of you use a loyalty provider that we support, and we support many others as well. So because technology is going to blossom, you've got to be ready to put whatever, it makes sense into your establishments going forward as it comes to bear. So let's start. Let me go back to you, Deena. Let's start with the basics. How long has your current loyalty program been in? But I also want to know what was your fundamental sort of goals when you started this? Like, what's the why? Why are you doing this? Actually, you're a great one. Listen, if kids were going there when they were 8 for their birthday party, why do you need a digital loyalty program?
Right. Thank you. That's a very good question. So our current program has been, the structure of it anyway, has been around, it predates me. I started with Papa Gino's at the beginning of 2019, and the loyalty program was in place at that time. The structure of it is there's an incentive for joining it, and then it's a points-based program. You get dollar rewards for numbers of points that you get, and you get product incentives as you go. The key those are the mechanics. The key to the program, though, is keeping people engaged within this program, and what you do within the program to keep people wanting to be in it, wanting to use their points or their rewards, wanting to continue to be a part of it and interact with it, and getting people to want to be a part of it in the first place, new people to join. And so when I started, that was really the mindset that I took. And over the last, few years, and particularly in the last year or so, the lens that we really looked at this through was activation and engagement. And, you can have a loyalty program that has all the right mechanics, but if it's not being utilized properly, it's just something that's running in the background. It's humming, and it's not doing what you need it to do. So the goal that we set was, we have all these people and we have a huge database of loyalty, but we have to make them do things. We have to make them, A, want to stay, and B, keep them coming more and wanting to come more and being excited about the types of programs that we're offering them within this loyalty program. And then that has to be so exciting that more people want to join it, not just for the initial incentive that we give them for wanting to join it, but for all the things that we keep doing while we're in this program. And that in and of itself is a value model, so that we don't have to do all these other discounts and value programs outside of the loyalty program. And then it's a fair exchange of data, because they're then giving us their behavioral data. They're giving us all of the things that we want to see, but it also enhances their experience, because we now know what they like when they come, and all of the other things that are allowing us to personalize the things that we do for them. And so it's this very cyclical and reciprocal relationship. And that is what ended up becoming this successful model that we've implemented and continued over the last, I would say, 2 years within our business.
Mm-hmm. Great. Very interesting. I love the engaged part, and the goal is not just to give a lot of discounts necessarily, but we'll come back to that. So Reed, how about you? What were you out to achieve when you put this loyalty program in place?
I'm smiling over here because the value word comes up, and I'm glad you said it right at the end, but it's so important. I think that in general, when back to 2016 or 15, when we were designing the program, is providing the value to our guests, right? So they're choosing to spend money with us. And so between 2015, when we started it, and 2023 that we're at right now, it's become kind of table stakes in most businesses, let alone, I think that I'm very into like credit card points and Delta miles and stuff like that. And they're talking about like the real value to the airline is the loyalty program, right? And so when it was our goal, the joke we've talked about internally is like, the goal is to data mine the hell out of all this so that everybody comes in more and spends more money, right? My true goal at the beginning of it was to figure out how to engage with guests that was relevant to them and to have them choose to come back to us, right? And so when you look at a marketing funnel, it's like we spend a lot of money on the top line filling that bucket, whether it's radio or TV or whatever we do, right? And then we convert, and then we hope that people come back, right? And the loyalty program is like when someone chooses to opt in, then we have a connection point to create the hospitality, which is, we're in this industry, to create some sort of connection that then can be reciprocated or repeated and reciprocated. So it's a benefit to the business and it's a benefit to them financially. And so that financial benefit doesn't have to be discount. So Red, when I went originally, said, hey, back a little bit, like we had 3 different POSs and cash registers at our store when I started in 2012. We got everybody on the same POS system and then rolled out the loyalty a couple of years later. And I went to him and I go, hey, Red, he's 80 years old. And I said, hey, we want to do this rewards program. This is why we're doing it. And he goes, I don't want a discount. I have a discount in 50 years. Why would I start now? And that was the perception of what loyalty programs were, right? It's just a way to give coupons out. And a lot of businesses use that as e-clubs, right? Hey, we're going to send out these blanket coupons that are available. And I said, no, that's not what we want to do with this. What we want to be able to do is figure out when Bob stops coming and learn whether or not it was an experience-based thing or just a life-based thing. And being able to touch and say, like, maybe we're just not top of mind. Maybe we weren't just whatever, but having that connection that the guest chose to give their personal information, phone number, birthday, name, email, and then being able to like give them value for that information. And everybody's got the junk email box probably that they sign up for all of this stuff. And then it's like, as Eve was talking about, like providing value in that, providing some sort of value back to them for value.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick with you, Reed, for a second. You're both, by the way, for those of you out in the audience, we didn't pick 2 people that had the same philosophy, but I think we did try to pick 2 people that I would say weren't typical. How's that? So,
I'll take that. I'll take it.
Yeah. That's a compliment, by the way. But to your point, listen, somebody who's just got a list of coupons or offers every week, that's, whatever, we all know how that works. So Reed, give me an example or 2 though, of what are you offering them to get them to come back? What are a couple of your hooks?
So at the beginning, we kind of had the, sign up bonus, and then what we call lapse campaigns to say like, hey, you haven't bought in 30, 60, 90 days before we started to get some real data. And we actually just in February this year revamped our program, and not in terms of like, we still have a sign up bonus and we still have all of these other things, birthday, whatever. Before, what we did, and this was really successful for us, this was about 2019. We had a happy hour, which was $5 off a large pizza from 2 to 5. And we gated that offer behind our rewards program. And so that was specifically only available to our rewards members. Very similar to when you go to a grocery store or Walgreens where they have member pricing. And that was different than typical in a restaurant, right? So typically in a restaurant, you walk in, you sit at the bar, and happy hour is available to anybody. And when we gated that, we saw a huge increase in people that signed up. And that talks to the operation side of the business is like, hey, we had all these guests coming in and for these transactions, but not getting signed up to the program. Did they not know what they got for it? Was the value not there? All of these types of things. And in being a low to no discount company, and I have a philosophy that you don't discount your horse. So our horse is our pizza. And so in February this year, we changed it and we removed our last offer on our pizza. We took that $5 off away and changed it from happy hour to happy hour. So now from 2 to 5, you get a free appetizer with the large pizza purchase.
Interesting.
Still gated. So the gating thing was really successful for us, where we were able to say like, hey, if you want to get a discount, we're not the cheapest pizza in town. To be honest, we're a premium product. We're on the top end. To get any sort of deal, you have to be a part of it, and that's like our closest people, right? Then the second thing we did is, so we simplified in February when we launched this. So we call it a 5, 10, 15. It's something easier for the team member to understand and be able to talk about, and also easier graphically to like have the guests understand. So $5 when you sign up, $10 for every 150 you spend, and $15 on your birthday, right? So 5, 10, 15. And we changed it. We used to give a regular one topping pizza away. It had about a $12 value, $12.50 value. We actually increased it to $15 and made it $15 to use however you want, so that we added choice to the guests, so that they could choose, I don't want pizza, I want wings. I don't want pizza, I want to come in for lunch. I don't want pizza, I want a pasta today. And adding value. We're always trying to add value. And there's a lot of brands that you see that, like Starbucks, they keep reworking their programs and they actually devalue their program. We kind of look at it as like, how do we continue to add more value within the reward sphere? So that it just becomes a no-brainer, and the guest is starting to say like, hey, I need to make sure I get my points on this because they're valuable.
Yeah, great, love it, love the two examples. I think they're both not typical, so good for you. How about you, Deena? What are you doing in terms of offers that maybe are a little bit out of the norm?
Well, I think we're definitely doing things that are out of the norm in terms of our everyday promotional value offers. What we're doing is we are trying to encourage the engagement in terms of the bounce back. And so we're strategically looking at driving a certain thing like an occasion or a day part. And I'll give you an example. Last year, we were very focused on carryout last year. And carryout was a big initiative. So it was, come in or carryout, and then we'll give you the $3 reward bounce back. This year, if you come back, and it's a time bound, if you come back within a certain amount of days. So that did very, very well for us. We are rolling over some very, very large numbers from loyalty transactions this year now versus last year because of that. And this year we decided to shake it up and do day part. So now, time bound again, come in for a day part specific time frame, and we'll give you that $3 reward bounce back over a time frame of 7 days. So we're driving people in for an occasion, or we're driving people in for a day part, and then we're giving them back $3 to come back within a specific time frame. And we have seen some really great incremental uplifts in the 7-day window, afterwards, which, people are being driven in for the initial period, then they're coming back. And we're getting a lot of engagement from this. People are seeing a lot of value in it, and we're able to strategically drive the initiatives that we're looking to strategically drive. On top of that, we do things like double points when we're trying to drive certain products. We just introduced a new pepperoni melt at the beginning of June. And so every weekend is double points, when you order pepperoni melts, and we're able to layer that in through text messaging and in-app messaging, but it's only for loyalty members. Obviously, you got to get double points that way. But it gives an incentive to the people when it goes out to everyone. they know that you have to be in the loyalty program in order to do it. So there's always a link to join the loyalty program because it's for our, loyalty members only. And so we're basically at the same time as we're encouraging our loyalty members to take advantage of the wonderful value that they have, that they've chosen to be a part of, we're also showing everyone else in our full database the perks that you get for being a part of our loyalty program, because we do have people in our database that are not in our loyalty program. And so we're always taking advantage of those two levers. And so we've seen, a lot of really great engagement and good success from those things. And then every now and then we will do something where, for example, I'm going back a little bit to, was it 2019? It might have been 2019 when the Bruins lost the Stanley Cup Finals. And this is an example, we've done things since then, but this was a big one because we gave away 1 million pizzas because we had 1 million people in our Patronics database, and we dropped 1 million free small cheese pizzas on our Patronics account. And we did it as a consolation because the Bruins lost the Stanley Cup Finals, and went out and said, we're commiserating with all of you out there, and there's a free small cheese pizza on everybody's account. And so we'll do things like that get some attention, that get people excited, and will, increase our loyalty membership opt-ins. And so, every now and then you do those big splashes, and then you keep adding value and keeping people engaged with the other things that keep them coming back just because they want to.
As a New England sports team, you haven't had so much heartache, so I don't really have a lot of commiserating with you. But like as a Minnesota sports fan, we have to look at the economics of that, because
okay, good. Yeah. You might go broke, right?
Yeah, like that's but I love that. That's a really great story of doing it in a big way.
But maybe in Minnesota,
like
you could do when they win. That would be
we'll take it. If we win the Super Bowl, we're going big. No, but I think that you see other brands that are making big splashes like that. So I know Taco Bell does it with like a steal a base during the World Series, and they're using it holistically. They're using their mass media to then push their loyalty members, because that's how you're giving out the gift, and then you're giving that as marketers. It's the data that you care about, to start building those connections so that you can start to have more 8-year-olds in your dining room celebrating, sports parties and stuff like that. So it's a tool in our arsenal. Like I always look at loyalty and the rest of marketing and how we all tie it together as just like almost like tools in our tool belt. And so I thought that was a great use.
Well, I super impressed with both of your examples, and the thing that stood out to me. And I work with dozens, hundreds of customers all the time. And I would say 75+% of them kind of turn on loyalty and do what I would call the standard set of things, right? Something on your birthday, and it's pretty fixed over long periods of time, whatever their set of offers, discounts, promotions is. It sounds like both of you put in a tremendous amount of thought into it, attach it to specific things over shorter periods of time to achieve some business goal that you've decided that you have, whether, that does take energy, by the way. I mean, you've got to have somebody thinking about that. You've got to go implement it. But I think that's where the real power is. I mean, the digital tools are now there, and I think you're underutilizing technology in this day and age. If you're just putting in a static program and letting it sit, you might get a little bit of value out of that, but you're probably versus the competition, you're getting none or even falling behind potentially. And I think you two, even, neither of you are Taco Bell size, and yet you're both doing what I would call relatively advanced types of things, which means it's possible for all of you out there, whether you're 10 or 50 or 300 or 500 sites. You don't have to be Pizza Hut or Taco Bell to do these kind of things. So we've got a few minutes left, but why don't I give you each 3 or 4 minutes? I'll I'll kind of do a dual-sided question. You could take either side or both sides at the same time. Any way you want to, and you may not want to disclose this too specifically, but any quantification of some of the benefits or a specific example of, a program that you ran and what kind of return you got out of it, and / if you had to give somebody else, say somebody else is at the point where let's not take somebody who's not even doing loyalty at all. That's maybe too long a walk, but say somebody today is doing that more fixed program. Where would you tell them to start, and sort of what are your learnings to start to move towards the advanced situation that you're in today? And I'll let you start reading.
So it's not something specific, right? Like in terms of like a program we ran that was extremely successful, where, so I have a marketing hat on as a CEO of versus, an ops focus or a finance focus. But what I want to know is what the value of that guest is when they come in, right? Like everybody's like, what is the lifetime of a customer? One of the things that we focus on is what does someone do in their first 12 weeks after they become a rewards member? And if I can say, and I know this data because I just looked at it the other day because it's important, is this guest is going to come in 1.8 times and spend $54 in their first 12 weeks. And that, when I go back to my franchisees and say, this is why loyalty is important, because you're going to get $54 for every person you sign up aggregated across a lot of data. And then not to mention all of the other things past those 12 weeks that we now have a connection with. We all know that the concept of, getting a new customer costs more than retaining an existing customer. So that's where I think it's important. When it comes to, there's a couple things in Patronics, they're very informative on some of the things. So it's like, you have your basics, you have your core program, let's call it your buy 100, get $10. You give your birthday. That's a really important thing. People like to be acknowledged as a way to personalize. And then from the business side, you're spreading that over 365 days, not giving 1 million pizzas one day.
Right.
That was smart. Yeah. I was like, 1 million pizzas. How are we going to operationalize that? Right? Like, how are we going to do that? Right. But spreading it out. And then, one of the things is, the personalization piece, right? Like, so if someone doesn't like, we were doing testing this weekend at our new store, and someone's like, hey, I'm a vegetarian. What options do you have? And we gave them a veggie, pizza. And then they're like, oh, what about a salad? And then the team member said, oh, this is my favorite salad. And it had pepperoni in it. Right. So we lost that touch point of knowing what the guest is. And so now using technology, we can say, hey, this person doesn't like wings. Let's not give them an offer for wings. This guest usually buys a salad. Let's enhance that. So it's looking at that next iteration of the business need. And I think Deena showed a lot about that with like the carryout need. I would say that there's layers to say, hey, with the We Miss You campaigns or the Labs campaigns, but think about like what the business needs. I think that, with what you guys did, I always look at Domino's, so they did carryout insurance or pothole insurance or whatever. And it's like really, you're trying to change the guest behavior to meet what the business needs. Right now, you guys are changing your day part versus carryout. Or what if we really want to talk about dessert, right? Like, and there's a business need or drinks or whatever it is. So like, I wouldn't go to a tool. I would kind of reverse engineer what your really core business needs are and try to find a lever to that. But there's a lot of different levers in terms of challenges or try this and get or, all that kind of stuff that's out there and possible.
That's right. Well, I'm going to take a couple of your words, but I liked how you said work backwards, right? Like we what are the times of day we're not busy? What are the things we're not selling that we think we have a great product and it's just not, what are the, work backwards. Don't sit there and just try to dream up promotion. That's maybe going to get you off mark.
I was going to add one more two things to that before you go, Deena, is make sure that you're not trying to like push water uphill with the rake either. Like we use your partners or rely on your partners. Cause like when I talk to Patronics, they're like, we have lots of clients and Mondays just kind of suck. right? So like, don't spend a ton of dollars and money and all of this stuff to try to make fetch happen. That's how I'm like cool hop with it and wild with like making fetch happen. But like, if we know that that's hard and it's going to be really hard to get that guest to jump over that hurdle, don't, right? Like, meet the guests where they are and try to like I would say micro influence instead of trying to like vastly change the behavior.
Yep. You can't get blood out of a turnip. Yep. Deena, how about you?
I love the Don't Make Fetch Happen, because Mean Girls is like, that's a great movie. So anyway, I really think that that's an important point. I can't stress that enough, is that meet the consumers where they are and keep your focus on your business goals. Those are the two takeaways that I just had, from you, Reed. And I think that just to reinforce them, that is so important, because the broader business is what you're trying to accomplish. So your marketing programs just need, and including loyalty, just need to cascade off of what the broader business goals are. If your broader business goals are to drive carryout, or your broader business goals are to drive a certain day part, if your broader business goals are, we want to make sure that we're driving frequency or whatever it is within a certain time frame, and in this day part or this occasion, that's what your loyalty goals should be. Your loyalty goals should reflect what your business strategy is, not vice versa. Marketing shouldn't be in a vacuum making up fun promotions that are just fun for fun's sake, and loyalty trying to engage consumers just because they're fun engagement tools. They absolutely should reflect what the business strategy is to make the business move where the consumer is. And so I think that was brilliant observation and statement. I said it great. So that is definitely something that I would reinforce. The other thing that I would say is, in terms of quantification, the way that we look at loyalty and loyalty guests versus the general population is that they are worth, they come 3 times more. So their frequency is a 3 times for us, and they spend almost 2 times more. So that's how valuable that they are to our business. And I would say that that's a quantification that causes our focus to be so determined to make them such a big part of our planning, and our promotions and our marketing is very, very focused on loyalty in general, for all of the reasons that we've talked about so far. And I would say that you also, Chris, said something earlier that I think is important to reinforce, which is, it doesn't matter how big you are. You don't have to be Taco Bell size or Pizza Hut size or any of the above to really focus on loyalty, to be able to run programs like this. You don't have to give away 1 million pizzas. We didn't, by the way, even come close to giving away 1 million pizzas. We had 1 million accounts. We put 1 million free pizzas on an account. We did not give away 1 million pizzas, but we made a huge splash. We were able to engage the people that were engaged in our program, and we got a lot of new members out of it. And it's all about engaging those people, keeping them coming back, and being able to use the tools that you have in your tool belt. I think you said, Reed, those are the things that, allow you to do what you can do. And so even whether you have 10 locations, 20 locations, 50 locations, we have almost 80, it doesn't matter how big you are. If you have data, if you have a database and you can talk to your guests, you need to talk to them, and you need to basically be giving them a reason to come to you. In terms of not having to always discount, our promotion that we have that I mentioned earlier about driving people to a day part and then giving them a bounce back, there's no discount on that initial visit at all. We're driving people to come in for dinner. We're driving people to come in for lunch. We're driving people to come in for an occasion. That's a full price occasion. The discount is on the return within 7 days, which is a 90% incremental rate. People coming back within 7 days, they come back at a 90% incremental rate. So your discount is coming back for people who would not come back normally within those next 7 days. So that's when you look at it and you can say any size business can afford that, if you're going to get a customer that comes back within that short period of time. So I would say definitely, no matter what size you are, you can utilize that data, and you can utilize programs like this to really win in your business.
I think it's super interesting what you said, and I think that what popped in my head was like the concept of Groupon, right? And that was really big, mid 2000, 2010, whatever date. I don't even know if they physically legally exist anymore. But it was an ability to try to hit new customers, but it was bad money. It was really bad money, right? Like, and it's like the loyalty allows you to have good promotions and offers that are financially viable to a business. We know that, the margins can be tight in businesses. And so we're looking for that incrementality. But when you get to make the offer versus trying to get, what I call, like I said, bad money, 50% off or whatever for people that may never come back, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. 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 That may be in the category of what not to do, but anyway, well, great discussion. I actually think this is exactly what, if somebody listens to this who's saying we need to take our loyalty to another level, what do we do next? Where do we go? Or how do we even think about it if they're still at that early a stage? You two are excellent coaches and mentors on the topic. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching this summit virtually. It's a little post-pandemic world. And have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Deena and Reed. We appreciate it.
Thanks for
Take
having
care.
me.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.